Mr. Zuckerberg, I'm the largest user of Facebook in all the EU institutions in terms of followers, in terms of engagement, so I'm your best client here in the room. I've no idea of the value of that, but I'm pleased to see you, as I hope you are me. The one slight problem I have, and I'm watching very carefully the testimony that you gave on Capitol Hill. Time and again, people asked you, is this genuinely a neutral political platform? And you come up with the same line again and again. It's well crafted. You say that Facebook is a platform for all ideas. Now, historically, of course, it's true that through Facebook and other forms of social media, there is no way that Brexit or Trump or the Italian elections could ever possibly have happened. It was social media that allowed people to get round the back of mainstream media. Now, perhaps you're horrified by this creation of yours and what it's led to. I don't know. But what is absolutely true is that since January of this year, you've changed your modus operandi, you've changed your algorithms, and it has led directly to a very substantial drop in views and engagements for those that have got right of centre political opinions. The facts are very clear. Just look at President Trump's numbers on a much smaller scale. Look at mine. Look at thousands of other Conservative commentators. And on average, we're down about 25% over the course of this year. And, that's happening on a platform for all ideas. I'm not talking here, Mr. Zuckerberg, about extremism. I'm not talking about encouraging violence. I'm not talking about hatred of anybody. I'm talking about people who have majority mainstream opinions, and frankly, I feel they are being willfully discriminated against. What interests me is who decides what is acceptable? Who are these people you referred to earlier, these third-party fact-checkers? Who are these people? I mean, why is there no transparency in this process at all? I'm not generally somebody that calls for legislation on the international stage, but I'm beginning to wonder whether we need a social media Bill of Rights to basically protect free speech. And I'm asking you today very, very clearly that would you accept that today Facebook is not a platform for all ideas that is operated impartially?
Let me see if there's anything else that is important to touch on. There were a couple of questions about political bias that I want to touch on, because I think that this is a very important topic. As a couple of you mentioned, we are committed to being a platform for all ideas. That means that we want to make it so that people can come to our service and share any idea across the political spectrum. It's very important to me that we're a service that allows for a wide variety of political discourse. We view that as a big part of our responsibility, and I can commit to you here today that we have never and will not make decisions about what content is allowed or how we do ranking on the basis of a political orientation. So that's an important philosophical point for me that I'm proud to be able to commit to. There was a specific point around distribution and reduction of seeing people's content, and on that, what I'd just say is we've made a number of changes this year to make sure that we're showing people's friends and family and community content more than public content in general. So a lot of the feedback that we've heard from people is that they come to Facebook because they want to stay connected to people. We've also done a lot of well-being research. This wasn't a topic that came up today, but we're very focused on making sure that people's use of technology is good for people's well-being and is not taking away from it in some way. And all the research that we have shows that when you're using the internet to stay connected to people that you care about, that's good for your well-being. It's correlated with measures like increased measures of health and happiness and feeling more connected and less alone over time. But when you're just using Facebook or the internet overall to read news or passively consume videos, that isn't correlated with those same benefits to well-being. So because of that and because of feedback that we've received, we've made a number of shifts to the services to promote connecting with people's friends and family and communities more than public content. So that has led to reductions in distribution for public content, video, news, across the board, and is not targeting any specific political ideology.
With me in the studio is a woman who's been very successful in the city. Louise Cooper is a financial analyst and commentator and a mother. And is champing at the bit to discuss Nigel's comments. But first of all, Nigel, you said that... Well,
just get the ground rules here clear. If you're a television presenter, right, you can have a baby, and you can have a baby and come back, no problem. If you're a dentist, you can go. If you're a financial markets analyst, you can take time off and come back. If you're working on a brokerage desk, right, which I did for many, many years, I would not even take a fortnight's holiday because that was too long to be away from those accounts. So I was being very, very specific.
Except you said there was no sexual discrimination, you believed, against women in city firms.
Well, city firms...
What do you base that on?
City firms are far more hard-nosed and look at the bottom line. And I do not believe the reason women are paid less in the city is because we have gross discrimination.
Louise?
You know, I try hard not to lose my temper on air, and I really try hard not to insult people on air.
Don't hold back.
But I'm sorry, Mr. Farage, for you, I'm going to make an exception. Because what you are saying is laughable.
Is it?
You are talking out of your bottom.
So why are women paid less,
Let Louise put the case.
And for all the working mothers out there who are battling day to day, and I know lots of them in the city, but not just in the city, but elsewhere as well, who are discriminated against, who are paid less than their male colleagues, who are looked over for promotion, I say on behalf of them, shame on you. And I say double shame on you because you actually have daughters. What kind of example are you setting to your daughters by saying what you said?
So are you saying that the banks and brokerage houses in the City of London are openly and clearly discriminating against women today?
Openly and clearly is difficult, but they are discriminatory. The point you make about maternity leave, OK? You say the word maternity leave, women go away for 2 or 3 years. I had a child, I had 4 months maternity leave. You know, the maximum you can take is 12. So why this, women go away for 3 years? So that's the first comment, maternity leave.
Yep.
Gardening leave. OK, so let me just explain what gardening leave. In the city, if you leave your firm, you can't start to work anywhere else for at least 3 months, very minimum. Most firms have 6, 12, 18 months of gardening leave, OK? So that costs the firm, because you leave on day one with your black bean bag, that costs the firm that you were hired with, and the new firm are willing to wait 6, 12, 18 months for you to turn up. So, if it was so important for you to be there every second of the day and not have 3 months maternity leave, why does the whole city run on the let's poach other staff? Because clearly, and even more in the brokerage industry, there is a lot of gardening leave, and people and brokerage firms are willing to pay many millions to guarantee someone who will arrive in 6, 12, 18 months' time, which is far longer than maternity leave. So don't give me maternity leave. I say gardening leave back to you. And no one talks about that for discrimination against men.
Well, the reason gardening leave was put in place is because people know that actually any time away from accounts brings in and increases the level of risk. So that's the very reason gardening leave was introduced. Look, when I ran a brokerage company, I had a guy came to me one morning and said, Nigel, I'm resigning. I'm going to do the childcare at home because my wife's got a better job than me. And there are now 1 million men who are at home bringing up children. I'm making a general point that in a fiercely competitive world like the brokerage end of it, that women are disadvantaged if they have children. Now, that is a simple statement of fact. And
so there is discrimination against women who have children. That's what you're saying. In the city, they are discriminated
I'm making the point that lifestyle choice of having a family makes it harder to... It doesn't make it impossible, and there are some people that manage it, but that, I think, explains why women are paid less.
Okay.
I do not accept that the City of London now discriminates heavily against women.
I don't accept that.
No, I don't accept that at all.
Right, you're saying women who have families are discriminated against. Women who decide to have children are discriminated against in the city.
They're not discriminated against. In a bottom-line business, they make it harder for themselves. It's simply a statement of fact.
Well, except Louise isn't the only person who's been screaming.
I know.
Ruby McGregor-Smith, Chief Executive of Mai Tai, Anne Richards, Chief Investment Officer of Aberdeen Asset Management, Lindsay Ricks, MD of Santander Wealth Management. They all have children. They're at the top of their game.
It can be done.
There aren't many. They're discriminated against.
So Janet Yellen became boss of the Federal Reserve, possibly the most powerful job. She's got kids. I did, when she became head of the Federal Reserve, I wrote a piece about it and said, these are, in my view, the 10 most influential financial women in the world.
I read that.
8 of them have kids. It is laughable. You know, that one of them is the head of one of the most successful hedge fund businesses in the world. Hedge funds do their, spend 20 hours a day at work. One was private equity. One was, Reinhardt and Rogoff. One of those women.
Christine Lagarde.
Christine Lagarde at the IMF. It is laughable that because a person has a wound, they can't do a job.
Less to their
We
companies?
have to make a decision here, don't we? Women are paid 30% less than men in the city. Why is that? And I'm suggesting it's because they make different lifestyle choices. And whilst there are some women who want to have families...
Is that right, though, Nigel? Is that right?
Yes. It may not be right. It may not be right, but it is the way the world is. A lot of women, some women are happy to have a family and a big job, but it's a hell of a difficult thing for them to do. So if I'm wrong, then we do have gross discrimination in the city.
I have an alternative view of the reason why women are paid 30% less in the city is because you play deliberately to all the sexist,